Alright, seems like I am live. We will see how this works in the VOD if I'm a little early or a little delayed. I am going to give maybe just a couple more minutes, just funneling in, making sure that the live stream is up and running, and then I will explain the concept for video watchers, because that's where most of the people come in. Alright. The concept for today's stream is going to be making custom armor sets. This will be done through command blocks entirely. I'm not going to bother trying to set up a data pack through this stream, but command blocks can easily be ported to data packs, and for actual implementation on some server somewhere, that would be the goal. One of these armor sets that I've got currently is a Warden set. Now, this skin is similar to the true Warden helmet from Hypixel Skyblock, but it's got the armor pieces here, which have the new armor trims from latest Minecraft update. And the cool thing about this, if I go and get myself the chest plates again, I plan on having the visual display of these pulse between a darker and a lighter chest plate, while also playing a sound like the Warden heartbeat. Now, as a puzzle creator, I like making little puzzle things. This is one of them that I'm working on right here. Having a Warden sound effect is very nice for having location-based puzzles. If there was some dude right here, or some objective right here, I could have the Warden heartbeat pulse faster and faster as I get towards it. And the goal is, in this room that I've already created for a puzzle, I have a wardrobe, which it had random armor pieces in it before. But I want to create a set of custom armor suits which have different values, right? Different interesting characteristics through their cosmetics. So if the Warden helmet has a heart pulse, I could do that like maybe as a spectator gets closer to the player, the Warden heartbeat gets faster and faster, and maybe higher pitched as well. I've also got a couple of other things like a Santa suit, which, let me just pull this up. Looks pretty nifty. This could drop snow behind you, and maybe gifts that would be like a player head on the ground that can be picked up. That's a Santa suit. I've remade the Superior Dragon armor from Hypixel Skyblock. Some people have texture packs which make this look kind of like this in their 1.8 version. Kind of looks like a dragon with scales. But this is all done in vanilla through armor trims. And then the final one that I'm definitely set on making today is a Guardian. And I'm not entirely sure if I want to try doing ray casting in the confines of a stream. That seems like a pretty big endeavor. But maybe something like looking at an entity or hitting an entity can do something. Or maybe you get just like a potion effect when you're in the water, like you get extra swimming speed. The goal is to make functional cosmetics this stream. Something that players can wear throughout the puzzle map that doesn't impede on their progress. It shouldn't confuse them too much in terms of like, oh, I think I need to do this with my armor set. Like, I need to wear the Warden setup to do something. It's kind of just like a fun way for players to cosmetically express themselves. And you can mix and match the various armor pieces and get a pretty cool outfit. And it doesn't have to have functionality if you're only wearing like half of the set. And I got a couple of other things, like an ugly winter sweater. This is one of the first things I made. And then stereo pants, similar to what you would find on Hypixel Skyblock, but they're non-functional, so they don't actually play annoying music. I wanted to have stereo pants that played some sort of tune, but then I realized I'd have to write music, and I'm kind of tone deaf. Speaking of deaf, I'm realizing that the Minecraft sounds are a little loud, so I'm going to turn them down. So, the context of this stream, now that we've gotten the little bits and pieces, little bits and bobs expressing what is going to be done out of the way, it's about to get really technical, and it could just be something you want to put on in the background if you want to hear me ramble. We're going to kick things off, though, with design and development on the Warden. So, kicking things off from the scratch here. These are all of the Warden pieces which I have created, and they have a custom tag, which is Warden Suit 1B. When you're creating any sort of Minecraft armor piece or giving any sort of item, you can add these invisible tags to them and then check to see, like, is a player wearing something with this tag, or are they holding something with this tag? It's a way of identifying custom attributes of a piece without actually having to give it an enchant or some sort of like specific color that you're checking for. I could check for, are they wearing the thing that has the same color with the same trim, but instead I'm just checking in this selector here, do we have leather leggings with the tag of Warden Suit? Do we have leather boots with the tag of Warden Suit? And do we have a player head with the tag of Warden Suit? What that also allows us to do is switch between the two armor pieces, and this system will see a lit up and a darkened Warden as the same thing. So that's really helpful for us. And other than checking to see if someone was wearing a full suit before playing a sound, like so, I haven't really developed much else for the system. But I figured I have an end point in mind, and it's a pretty nice thing if I wanted to do a quick stream, just coming up with the Warden armor piece and its ability live so that people can kind of get an idea of the inner machinations of my brain. So, I had mentioned earlier that the ability could be based off of the player, let's say, we'll represent them with an armor stand here, and their proximity to a spectator. So say that I was the spectator right here. and I were to stand on this block, as I approach the player in the Warden outfit, which I will denote with a Warden head, they will get more agitated. Their heartbeat will increase, and the chest plate will flash more rapidly. This is something which can be ported to other things, as I said before, if I wanted to have some objective on the ground here and then give myself a faster heart rate as I approach it. So the initial range that I'm thinking here is that any spectator at this point will be negligible. Like, it'll be a little circle. I'm gonna rough approximate this out here. Like this range around the player and their Warden, and then this secondary circle. As soon as we approach this and up to this point, they will be slightly agitated, having their heart rate pulse a little bit faster than they would normally would. And then finally, right here, it'll rapidly pulse. And I'm not entirely sure if I want to have that spam the player, because, I mean, if I turn this into a repeating command block, kind of sounds like popcorn. So you gotta have some amount of delay with that. And I'm thinking that the best way to have a set amount of delay is to have a scoreboard objectives add Warden timer, which is a dummy objective. And if we scoreboard objective set display sidebar Warden timer, we can then have a repeating command block that says execute as all players run scoreboard players, or no, if score at S, the player that we have selected. So, to briefly give people a command explanation, if there are 3 players on the server, and we are running a command at A, or as at A, what that means is each of these players will have their own separate chain. Whereas if I were to just say, check if at A has a score, and then try to run off of that, it would be checking if all of the players matched the same thing, and then running off of that. So if I just said execute if score at A, we would be checking every player to see if they match this score. But as at A, if score at S, allows us to have these separate chains of function. And we're checking to see if their Warden timer is less than their Warden score. And then if it is, run scoreboard players add themselves Warden timer 1. And we're just gonna make this less than. And then if we crack out a redstone block here, switch this to repeat. The technical limitations from the existence. This would be an issue because I don't have Warden timer yet. So if I say scoreboard players set myself Warden timer to 0, now you'll see it count up all the way up to 10. And that's because if we set our display on the sidebar to Warden, our score is 10. Warden timer goes to 10. Scoreboard players set myself Warden timer to 0. It'll tick up, tick up, tick up. Command blocks run 20 times every single second, assuming the server doesn't have any lag. So when I have a score of 10 and a repeating command block, which is constantly adding to that, this is half a second of time. Compared to over here, 20 times a second. Now, if I set up a command block, which will become execute if at or as at a if score at s warden timer is equal to at s warden. Run. Scoreboard run. And then we need to take this command and Frankenstein them together. But you'll notice that it has an error. That's because of these right here. So we're getting rid of these. And now we're getting the popcorn thing again. That's because we need to reset our warden timer. We just take all of this. Scoreboard. Run. Scoreboard players set at S. Warden timer 0. That rapid fire heartbeat that's just gonna follow you around. It's local to the player, the way this play sound command is set up. So if there was a spectator over here, and I were moving away from them, it would sound like it's getting more and more distant. And you can even hear it, like if I quickly fly around. Wait a minute. Oh! It appears I get to introduce another concept. Right now, the command block, as it's executing things, is doing so at relative coordinates. And when you run the command as the player, it is essentially saying that you, the player, execute this command, but it has no idea where you are in space right now. And it defaults the location onto the command blocks. So you can actually hear this. As I move away from the command blocks, it gets quieter. And as I move near it, it gets louder. So now, if I'm gonna crank down the volume on this one too. If I say at S, it'll follow us. And now this is executing right on top of us. If I wanted to make it sound even more distant, I could say relative 10. And now it's coming from above, so players above me will hear. But I'm just going to do relative coordinates, and we can lower down the volume here to about 20%. And then this is supposed to be the rapid heartbeat. So if we're thinking about it, maybe you can actually hear this one a little bit more compared to the other heartbeats, which might be a little bit more faint and distant. So right now, if we set the display to Warden, it's at 10. If I want to scoreboard players set myself, Warden, to 20, for example, the heartbeat will slow down once per second, like a little metronome. Or if I do 100, now it's only going to show up every 5 seconds. This is a very good idle state. If I'm right over here on the outskirts and I don't have any threats, a slight pulse just to show the armor as well as the sound effect would be perfect. And then as I get closer, once I hit around this range, maybe we hit 35. It's about every 2.5 seconds, or 2 3/4 seconds. Aha! Another bug has been realized here. As the numbers change, our Warden timer doesn't go down. In fact, this last command here that is trying to reset is checking to see if we are having matching scores. And there will never be a matching score when our Warden value is 35 and our Warden timer is 65. So what we need to do here is reset if it is greater than or equal to. There we go. So this is significantly faster, but not as in-your-face present. It kind of indicates like, hey, I'm nearby something, compared to this, where you would see the timer go up quite a bit higher. And this is just an ambient pulse. And then finally, we would get something like what we had originally, 15, 10, or even 5. Anything lower than that, though, and we start getting like the popcorn thing. So, 10 is probably around the lowest that you would want to go. Maybe something like this if you really wanted to have it be more intense for the player. And you could even subdivide this, like, this would be the rapid heartbeat, slightly rapid, a little bit more, a little bit less, and then you could have like each block represent like a different ring there. It could also be set up so that you are hyper aware of your surroundings behind you, and then it kind of becomes a utility armor where as a Warden you would be able to kind of like see a little bit in front of you, but you would be hyper aware with the pulsing if someone is behind you. Now, not included in this, as I had mentioned before, I don't want to do raycasting, but Wardens can shoot out those little sonic blasts if they get agitated like this. I'm gonna go back to ambient. Pulse. Now there's a decision that we need to make here. Our Warden, if we end up changing it while it's higher, down to let's say 50 right now, we'll have to recount up to 50 every single time. That would represent, like, you're on the outskirts here and you move within range, it would start counting up from 0, rather than instantly ticking. Now, for me, I believe that that is fair and in good functionality. It kind of adds this sense of predictability and maybe a little bit of pause in between. But some players, like maybe if you wanted to design this yourself, you could just change this value in here to be, rather than equals, be a greater than as well. And then what that would give you is, as soon as you cross this horizon here, if your score is greater than, it'll play that sound as well. I feel like if we're trying to create something with echolocation, that could give people a little bit too much information compared to what I would be wanting. And even then, now that I'm listening to this ambient thing, it could be a third ring, where once you're out here, it could play even less. Maybe Warden 1000? Because this is Warden 50 right now. If we double it and make it Warden 100, this is every 5 seconds. Is that sparse enough for us? Or is it too annoying and you could go all the way out here and say like 300 seconds? Then you're really getting into it with just having to wait, and then occasionally you'll get a pulse. It almost seems too random like this. Like you're not... There's no rhyme or reason for it. Whereas if it's 100... I'm gonna do one more pulse, just for funsies. If it's 100 here, it at least shows up frequently enough to let you know, like, hey, you're wearing this armor. You gotta deal with the sound effects. And that there's some information to be had when it will start ticking like this. Or like this. But then this is just your background ambience. Alright. So now that we kind of have a plan in mind, we need to have a way of determining how far away oops. We need to have a way of determining how far away the player is from someone who's in the warden gear. So we're gonna demote you, and we're gonna say this creeper head is our spectator. We need to know how far away in terms of X and Z we are. And then I think that rather than taking the Y factor into account, because a lot of the time spectators could go like up really high or they'll be really close, we just have a floor in mind of maybe 10 blocks plus minus. So this would be how we would calculate this out. Is, I mean, if we're mathing here, we would take a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we would take the square root of that, and we would get this distance here as to how far away diagonally we are from our target entity, which in this case is the spectator. Now there's ways to do this for X, and there's ways to do this for Z. I, rather than having little circle radii here, which will require a bit more complex of something to figure out, would rather prefer a box. why this is so much easier for us to handle is we're able to define how far away in each direction the player is able to go, and there will be a cube around them. Minecraft is very cubic. If you wanted to fine-tune this, you could definitely do something with scoreboards and math and have complex calculations there, and maybe that'll be an implementation for the future. But for our technical implementation here, we're just going to be checking if the player is within the range of the box. So for rapid heartbeat, the box in each direction is going to be about this size. So if you are within this range, and obviously it'll extend over in all directions. If you are within the bounds of these boxes, you will set off the warden heartbeat. And now, for reference, of course, red stone over here, that's going to be a pace of like this, anywhere within this zone. So let's not include the border. Let's just say anywhere within like this 3-block zone. And that seems more than fair. And then, how far out over in this direction? Well, let's mark this out in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And obviously this would extend further in the radius here. So if a player is within this range, 30. Kind of lets you know that there's something around the area here. And we could tighten this box or reduce its size accordingly. Like maybe I wanted the danger zone to be much tighter. Like this would be this zone, and then 30 would be somewhere within here. I think if we're thinking about this like a puzzle mechanic, that works much better, and we can even reduce the outer edge here by a block. And then anything outside of this range would just be ambient. So we get 2 blocks here, and we'll be flexible and say that it can be 5 blocks up or down, regardless of the zone here. And I'm just going to clean up the glass. Alright, we got our zone. We'll be able to test this out. So how are we going to determine this? Let's just 1,000. Now it'll be a nice little surprise whenever it happens, especially if I do scoreboard objective, set display, sidebar, warden. We need to figure out if a player is within a certain radius of the armor stand. So we're now going to do execute as at E type equals armor stand. So what this is going to do is every single armor stand is going to execute this command. It's like an at A but for armor stands. However, we can do a funny little thing, which will be limit equals 1, sort equals nearest. Now that's going to focus on whichever closest armor stand there is in the general vicinity here. And then we're going to say, let's just say, run say at E type equals not armor stand. Comma sort equals nearest. Run say hi. So the armor stand says hi. The armor stand, it's armor underscore stand. And then the sort equals nearest. So what this should be doing, this is another issue of saying at E. So now if we plug this in here, run say found. Okay, so now if we have an armor stand here, which is within 3 blocks, so not here, but here, or here. Oh, I'm being really silly. I'm checking to see not armor stand players within a certain radius here. So in order to test, I'm going to need a different thing. I'm going to say glow item frames. So a glow item frame on that block would be found. A glow item frame on this block would not be found. Not found. Found. So we've essentially, with this radius command, distance equals 0 to 3, come up with that. What this distance command is doing is it's saying, is there something within the range of 0 blocks on this entity to 3 blocks away? And this includes the block that it's on. So 0, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3. So this is the block where its radius search ends. However, the downside of that is we can't quite reach the height that we're looking for, which is 5 blocks of flexibility. In fact, we're only able to get down to here. So there is a command in the game that I'm not entirely familiar with, or a sub data thing here, where we say rather than distance, we have dx, dy, and dz. So if I say dx equals 3 and x equals 3, what'll that do for us? So the x is this axis here. So it is only working for blocks that are on positive X right now. No, negative X. Odd. You know what? I'm going to change this. Run effect give at S glowing infinite 1 true. And then I'm going to say clear at E or effect clear at E glowing. And now, if I'm within the range, I'm not glowing. Okay, well, I will be glowing while in the range, and the problem is I don't get cleared correctly. There's a simple fix to that. I'm not going to try to explain it, but effect clear at E glowing. Man, I was saying that it was going to be super simple. It was not super simple. We give ourselves glowing. And then we clear glowing. You know what? I'll just keep that on the back burner. Clear myself manually of glowing once I check here. So if I stand on the same block, does not work. But I go past that block, does work. I go over here, does work. I stand over here, does work. It does. Is it just anywhere? No. When does it start? It starts here. Okay. So our expected range is in redstone blocks, and our actual range ends up being here. Because I wasn't getting it here, was I? I was. But I'm not getting it there. So, and it's only happening on these blocks. It's not happening anywhere adjacent. It's only here, 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 and here. Now, if we're going to extrapolate and figure out some logic here, that means that point 0 on this dx3 x3 x is equal to 3. So we go out here and we have a size of 3, which I guess for some reason would include that block. So now if we say dx has a size of 1, what is that going to get us? We're quite actually just experimenting around. That gets us here. And it gets us there. But it doesn't get us here. So what we've done is we've shrunk it back 2 blocks. What if we say dx has a size of 0? This block? Okay. So we figured out what it means. X is 3. Oh no. It actually just means X is 3. The X coordinate in chat here is 3. Oh no. Can I say, like, relative 3? No. Oh no. Okay, but if I just say dx of 3, then what happens? Oh! Okay. So x is not something that I want to touch. And now we have positive. Okay. Huh. Well, I'm thinking that we can do a little bit of shenanigans with this. It looks like we're going 3, 4, 5. So it has to be same height level, which is not what we're looking for. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks in length. So at E, relative. So now, when we say dx, we are encroaching in the positive direction. So what we're actually looking for is 1, 2, 3. If this is where it was showing up. 4. Dx of 3 is this plus 3. And we're going to offset it using the position command. Say neg2, neg2. So now it should be positioned here relative to our thing. So now if we clear glowing, what we're actually looking at is somewhere here. Clear glowing. Fantastic, that's within our bounding box. So we're 1 block short from our bounding box. We just need to be 5. So now, fantastic, as soon as we step in the bounding box, we're good. And as soon as we step outside of the bounding box, that's unfortunate. He's still 1 block off incorrectly. So, oh, what is this? Correct. Very, very incorrect. as we step into here, it is still incorrect, so we need to reduce further by 1. Clear glowing. Alright, so supposedly that'll work. Enter the bounding box. Enter the bounding box. Great. Now we need to make it work in the Y direction, which should be pretty easy if we just, or not the Y, the Z. dz equals 3. If all goes to plan, we will now have coordinates as soon as I step into here. Glowing. Glowing. Nice. Glowing. And not glowing. Whee! So as soon as we step anywhere within the 5x5 grid, as laid out by the redstone blocks, we get the proper glowing effect. Now, the reason why we wanted to overcomplicate this and not just use a distance command is that we want to do dy. dy equals 5. Well, not 5, because it appears to go like so. If this is the origin, it'll go that far out. So if we wanted it to go up 4 blocks and down this far as well, that would become our origin. And now this would become like the upper limit. So we can already see it works pretty well vertical height, but if we go down from below, we're going to have to change the origin to be down here and increase our dy. And that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 plus another 5 will be dy of 9. And then we need to also go -5 offset. So now, we come in from below, we start to glow. The moment we cross into the bounding box, we got it. And from above, nice. And up here, should be out of the bounding box. In here, should be in the bounding box. Out, in, out, in. Alright. So, relative to the armor stand, we have figured it out. So, there's 2 ways of setting this up. And we need to think about it in terms of how our players are going to be existing within our space. If we have more spectators than we have players, there's no reason to draw a bounding box around the spectator. We would want to do that around the people who are wearing the Warden set if they are going to be the more uncommon player in this situation. If we are going to have more if we're going to have more players, though, drawing around the spectator like what we have right now is perfectly fine. Either way, what we're doing is we're checking to see if there is an entity within the bounding box, and then we can proc it to say run scoreboard players set at S warden, let's say 15. Now well, this is tricky. We're also going to change this to be at A. Remove this, keep that. Copy this command block. Now this is where data packs shine, because you can get a really good order of operations. But with this we're going to have to just figure it out. If I say 1, say 2, obviously when I run these we should get 1, and then we should get 2. So our initial bounding box is going to be the first one here. And then our secondary bounding box, which we're going to want to define as something with slightly larger boundaries. It's still going to be set offset -5 because we still want to keep the same height value, but our dx and z as well as our initial offset position need to change. So we are increasing it by how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what needs to happen is we need to go -5 more than what we already have. So now our origin is going to be in this corner. So this will be 100, this will be 200. And we can look on the scoreboard to see when that changes. So now, after adjusting the offset, we can then say 8 and 8. But no, not actually, because we need to increase that. We'll say 13. 13 should encompass the entire area. So now, I'm gonna walk inside. Not getting changed. Oh my. It appears that there's something going wrong. Okay, so this sets my score of Warden properly. Scoreboard players set Warden to 1000. And it's not going to work unless I'm within the range. But for some reason, sometimes commands get a little finicky here. So yeah, what we're seeing is an issue where it'll always be 200 unless I'm out of the proper radii here. So this tells me that I need to flip these two commands. So I copy this, move this up here so that it fires second, this up here so that it fires first. So 200, 100, 200, 100, 200, 100, 200, 100, 200, 100. Ho, ho, ho. Look at me go. It's so satisfying watching that number tick back and forth, and we'll actually be able to hear a distinct difference if we do this and this. So now it'll be 50, which is 2.5 seconds. It's shorter than it has been recently. And then we get our rapid heartbeat when we're within this zone. And it'll decrease as soon as we head out. And even if we're about to hit an increase, yeah. So this is where, as I was talking about earlier, if you set it to be greater than or equal to, the moment you step in here, it would tick up rather than resetting. Like, you can hear a noticeable delay if we sit out in here and then hop inside. It still takes that initial 10 ticks of delay because of the reset. And the thing is, if we fly out of here and we leave the area, we can kind of cheese it right now, and it'll still have our warden senses going off. So all it would take is a spectator essentially going up to a player like this, and then flying up and away, and then you've disoriented the player quite a bit. So what we're going to do to remedy this is we're going to need a third command, which, if we're chaining them properly like we have been, is just going to be this, this, this to this, and then this will set us to our ambient, which can be 100, or it'll be 1,000 for the stream, just so that we're not getting budum. Offset the position by 2 blocks further, or no, 1 block further in each direction. Increase these by 2 blocks. And then if dy was 5 before, increase it to 7. Or, yeah, 7. Or no, actually at this point, we can just set a larger bounding box at a distance equals, and then right now we are 1, 2, but 7-ish blocks away. So we'll do 7 ... 20. What I found through some other testing is spectators can move really fast, so you want to make sure that you're getting them within the zone, but you're not forcing yourself to do something that's a little silly here. So we don't need to have the positioned anymore. Now we're executing at, execute as any player within this distance, run, set it to 100. There we go. And now We enter in, we leave. Enter in, and we leave. 50, 10, 50, 100. And now, if we fly straight up, it'll go back to 100. Until we fly back down again. And same thing if we leave the bounds here. We have now created 3 different prisms, or rectangular prisms, around our spectator. And as we cross into each of those bounding boxes, we're getting a different heart rate, which is the intended effect. Which is perfect for us. Now, as it stands right now, whenever someone gets the warden time equal to scoreboard objectives, set display sidebar, warden timer, whenever warden timer matches the value that it's climbing towards, we just hear a sound. But we're creating a cosmetic armor set, and we want it to look at least a little bit fancy to the other people here. So what we're able to do, and I keep deleting the chest plate out of habit, that's why I set this up here, is switch the armor set to pulse. Whenever the player gets whenever the player reaches this like preferred pulse timer, the armor set should also pulse so that people around them know that they are activating their warden abilities. And also an extension of this is if I wanted to have any armor stand act as a trigger now for a puzzle in the future, I have that. I have that power. Even through this simple setup, it is flexible enough to already accomplish multiple things. So I'm happy with the progress that we've made. Even just having this little warden heartbeat sound effect is a fascinating puzzle. Because you could have an invisible thing that is just trying to direct you from place to place. And maybe if you like reach this zone, it goes to another zone. If you want to see a concept of that in action, go check out the other live stream that I have on this channel. I made it ages ago, but it is still very relevant for trying to create like a adventure map or a quest of some sort, of leading the players in a certain direction. But alright, I think with that, it's time to narrow the focus of this. Right now, I've been programming as if it is going to be a multiplayer compatible object. So any player who has their own custom warden time and custom warden timer will be able to wear these armor sets separately. It makes it multiplayer compatible, which allows for some specific uses. If you want to narrow the focus down to have it be like a lobby armor set, or if you want to put it in like your multiplayer adventure map. The scope of this is much simpler. I'm having this be in a puzzle where only one player is going to be in these set of rooms at a time. And it's one of many armor sets they can choose. So it's not even like they need to have it like this. What I want to have happen here is different pitches. So if you go to the place send command that we have, it's right now at a 1.2. If we lower this down to an 8, for example, a 0.8, it'll sound like a much deeper boom. And I feel like that's much better suited to be the ambient pulse, like that, compared to this, which is much better for like a rapid heartbeat. It's a higher pitch, it goes a little bit faster in through your ears. Again, I'm tone deaf, but I can at least recognize that having different pitches for the different heartbeats is another way of indicating to players if this ambient thing that you hear every once in a while from the armor set, if that's relevant to a puzzle, or if it's just something that is like not a solution, don't need to care about it. And obviously within the scope of this, I just have it as there's spectators that can be watching you. How close is a spectator? You will now know with this armor set. But-um. And the way that I can do this over here is indicate through these custom values if the score of Warden matches somewhere within this range, 0 to 19. We saw this earlier with the distance command. It takes the number value of 0 to 19, and anything within this range will cause this to execute successfully. Now, right now, because my Warden is scoreboard players set, or scoreboard objectives set display sidebar Warden is going to be 100, this command actually won't execute. But if I change the value, if I change the range to be, I don't know, somewhere within the range of 219, now we get annoying popcorn noise. So, how are we going to implement this? Well, that's a good question. I already have this set up here. I'm going to need to adjust the commands a little bit, but what this is going to do is it's going to play at 1.5, 1, and 0.8. I'm going to reduce this down to like 1.3 as the 3 different pitches. And this will play if our score of Warden So there's going to be multiple parts to this. If score of Warden matches within the range of this to 19, then we are going to play sound of Warden heartbeat to, and then this needs to be the funny selector. So I'm just going to put it as like at P for now, and I'll hopefully remember to come back to that. Relative to them, and then we need to do at S, and position. Volume is going to be, if this is like the rapid heartbeat, it needs to be a decent volume. Pitch, we said was going to be 1.3, and we skip over min volume. And I'm going to need to remove that for now. And then if I do scoreboard players set Warden to let's say 10. I'm just going to disable that. Warden is now at 10. My Warden heartbeat is playing correctly. Now, we want to only be executing this when when this player so we're going to need another if score for at S, and we're going to check if their warden is equal to warden timer. At S is warden timer. And then we're going to run another if score matches within this range. Run, play sound, entity heartbeat, bam. So that's not going to execute unless scoreboard objectives set display sidebar warden timer. Scoreboard players set me to warden timer 10. So now our warden timer matches our warden, which means this will beat, but only during that time. So we got this, we're going to lower it down to 1, we're going to change the range to be within 20 and 49. Yeah, that seems right. No. 20 and 59, which will encompass our other value that we have set. And then finally, we have the 0.8 ambient. And if we want to have an open-ended range, we can do that by just saying the minimum value, which is going to be 60, or dot dot. And that means anything that is at least 60 or above, if they are equal, will execute. So now, we get a high-pitched 1, but if I set warden to 100, and then also warden timer to 100, we get a much deeper one. Fascinating how that works. And now, crazy how this is all set up. I have a warden armor set, which depending on how far I am away from a spectator, will pulse in different tones. And because we have these command blocks set up here, we're able to set up this, and we can chain as well, and say if we are wearing the full suit, rather than the play sound here, we've already covered that, we only need this for resetting our score. And now if we activate this again, and we turn all of these into repeat, activate them, now warden timer is not activating. Ah, I see. We're reaching another one of those ordering issues. So So rather than separating our command blocks out, one of the ways that we can choose to fix this is by our last command block doing this, and then our command blocks here. There we go. Deeper thump. Higher pitched thump, which is also louder. But I think we can just set this 1.5, 1.5, 1. And this can be 0.8, 7. Oh, that sounds amazing. I love it. So, at the cost of some organization, we have made it work correctly. And I'll remove that one finally. We can get rid of our popcorn command. We have ported these over. Sweet. If we turn this back on, now for the final test here. Set display Wardum. Hop within range. But I love it. There's one thing I want to change though. I want to make this one much more faint. This one a little bit more faint. And then that should make that one sound louder. So this is distant. This is closer. Oh. Oh yes. I love to hear it. Perfect. Perfection. It sounds so ominous, just in the backdrop like that. Oh my goodness. Another thing that we're going to want to check is this. And then this will become our scoreboard objectives add armor timer. This will be another dummy objective. Scoreboard objectives, set display sidebar, armor timer, scoreboard players set myself, armor timer to 0. So execute as at A. At S, armor timer matches. The range is going to be anywhere from 1 at the minimum to anything above it. Run scoreboard players remove at S armor timer 1. So now if I light this one up, scoreboard players set myself armor timer 10. Now, I got it backwards. This is anything greater than. Execute as at A if score armor timer matches anywhere from 1 or higher. Like 1 to 3 would be that. This is 1 or higher. Run, remove. There we go. Fixed it. So now if I give myself like 100, it will count backwards. So let's say 10 is the minimum here. We're gonna run scoreboard players set at S, armor timer 10. Haha! Every time it pulses, we get a bit of an armor tick. Alright. And now, with our custom armor, we're going to do... We have 2 armor pieces, which are these 2 ones that are coming out of here. A slightly lighter one and a darker one. Obviously, if I wanted to go back and give it a custom fancy name, I could do that. But right now, we only have the Warden Warrior chestplate. And obviously, like the leggings, I could throw out an anvil and name them. Anyways, so this one, we are giving ourselves a leather chestplate with the various patterns. But if we wanted to equip it, I believe there is an item command. Modify entity, myself, armor chest, and obviously we're not going to do give at A, but we are going to say item replace armor chest with this. Ooh. There's a bit of a problem. I was hoping that it wouldn't make an update in terms of the sound of wearing the armor. Yeah, that's a problem. Modify armor chest modifier. If we just say the NBT, no, it doesn't work. What about this? Can I modify with display? What about just color? No brackets, just... Ooh.
doesn't seem to like to play nice with that, but if I have a regular leather chest plate, modify color. Nope. Alright, well this is the point of the live stream where I'm gonna have to do funny internet research.
Online, there's a variety of generators that you can work with. So, I'm going to open up Google real quick. And if I search Minecraft, or no, MC Stacker. MC Stacker is an amazing website which will allow you to get your commands just generated up for you. So if I do data merge entity, which is going to be player, item, modify item on player, armor, chest, specifying the item modifier to apply to the destination item. So this is where I Google to see if my presumptions here are incorrect. I'm thinking that the command /item modify entity @s armor chest, and then I would be able to type something here like make it green, and it would update the armor piece on my chest plate. Minecraft item modify command. I see. I feel like it's something to do with data packs, which I haven't quite... Yeah. I haven't quite got files for that, so replace entity @s armor chest from entity @e type equals armor stand comma limit equals 1 comma sort equals nearest armor chest. Now if I throw a chest plate on this guy, if I have a different armor on, even if it were to be dyed like this, it still makes the leather armor rustles noise. That's annoying. It's a little cosmetic thing, but Minecraft equip player with armor without sound. stop sound at a master Minecraft entity dot player dot it's not a block. Oh, but there's so many. It's not music. UI, no. Maybe? Boy oh boy. I don't know what the leather equip sound is. Entity dot player. Yeah, it's none of those. Generic dot huh. Google equip leather or equip armor sound Minecraft. Can't make a player silent. This is a bug that is on the bug tracker. Minecraft item.armor. Item.armor.equip leather. So now if I spam this, I should never hear oh, but I do. On player, maybe? It like goes in for a fraction of a second. And it would be annoying if I were to spam that, but it's happening like once in a while. So we've stopped the sound. Crisis averted. We fixed Minecraft's bug for them. And now fantastic. It does show up for a fraction of a second, but and it can be annoying actually. We'll hopefully get that fixed in a later version of Minecraft, though, and we'll deal with it this time around. And then the thing that I had before, I'm sure that it's somewhere in chat here. Yep. This is the bright one. Why there needs to be an armor rustle sound whenever armor is equipped is beyond me. But that should fix it. And then, so what this does is we are going to replace any player who has a scores okay. First we're gonna need to get the selector out of here, or where is it? Huh. Uh-oh. It appears we have done all of the math, but not a lot of the thinking. So this is going to check to see if we have the full armor set on. So now, we are only going to count up if we have the full armor set on. If we don't have the full armor set on, no counting. Counting. Only if you have the full armor set on, do we search and select to play the sound. This makes our command significantly longer and harder to understand if you're just looking at it, because it does a lot of yapping towards the start. But the end little bit that we're really focusing on there is still the same. And regardless, you shouldn't be counting up, so there's no need to put a specifier on that one. This should always be happening and counting down. This should always be happening. This is, I believe, the brighter one of the two. Yep. And then the other one here, which is the darker one, that's gonna go up here. So this, we're going to also say scores equal timer equals within the range, or we'll just say 10. And then down here, when armor timer is 1, we reset back to the default one. So now, when we pulse, hello? Scoreboard, objective, set display, sidebar, warden timer. Wrong one. Warden timer. Oh no. Execute as a player wearing the armor. Okay, well let's add a. What? What am I not wearing? Oh no. My armor set. Oh no. This is this. It ruined my name. With leather chest plate like so, and then this is the important color. We copy this into here. Take this, and its color gets to be the correct one now. And we're checking for if score matches 1. Now, if we wear the correct armor piece, appears not to be updating. This should be showing us. It 9. lovely. Huh. Yeah, there is still an issue with armor make noise occasionally. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, I love this so much. Oh my goodness. I think we did it. I have outdone myself. Let's go. Thump, thump, thump. This... the sound ruins it. Goes from dark ambiance to click, 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 click. Oh, man. Alright. Back down the rabbit hole we go. So if we do something like this, or no, we can just do this from a distance. Data modify entity at E type equals armor stand limit equals 1. And I'm going to go back to MC Stacker and I'm going to say do data merge entity at P I wonder if this will do it. Because I had like a inventory slot blah blah blah. So everything except for the last square and curly bracket should be here. So data, merge, entity, myself, this. And now what this should do is delete all of my armor and give me very generic ones that still fit the warden tag. Warden heart still beats. Does not cause me to have armor piece. Warden heart still ticks up and beats regardless of if I have the armor on. Unable to modify player data. Put on a leather tunic. And let's just put on all leather armor. And a player head. Unable to modify player data. I'm guessing that this is just a limitation of the command, if I'm remembering correctly here. Item. Now I'm going through all the commands and seeing if there's something that I'm forgetting. I'm pretty sure give can't specify. Yeah, it can't specify the slot. So we can do item, replace, entity, at S, armor feet with leather boots, or iron boots. What? Wait a sec. Hold on a minute. That's what I was thinking. There's a couple of bugs. And I'm not quite sure how to progress forward with this. Because because the stop sound, playing that before versus what if we play this after as well? Like it's always going to crop up somewhere along the line. Oh my. Did that fix it? Turn hostile creatures off. Or no? That's my bad, because I'm playing it through master rather than hostile creatures. But still. I think I fixed it. Team, is this Minecraft? Let's go. Let's go! So does it just sound before, or is it sound after? Sound after, I guess, in terms of the ordering. Man, if only I'd... done that sooner. Could have been done with this a long time ago. There you go. Compacted down. Armor set does its thing. Whee. Look at that. Look at it go. Pulse. Pulse. Alright, now this is... it's counting up regardless of this, and... I think it just needs one of these put down here. There. Because I'm in the armor, and if I'm not in the armor, then we check Warden timer. The moment I put on the armor, it starts ticking up. Pull pulse. Nice. We have done it. And then all that needs to be done is change this command block over here, or these lines of command blocks, from saying around every single armor stand to around every single spectator. And then we've done it. And then we have done it. And with that, our Warden shenanigans have come to a close. And I can take this, and I should be able to rename it to Warden Warrior Leggings. Warden Warrior Boots. And our first completed armor set with effects is now done. Let's see, do I still have a viewer? Hell yeah. I still have a Rui. Hello. What's your idea? Shoot. Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna simplify it down a little bit, and I'm gonna say we're gonna do carrot, potato, and wheat. And we're going to have an armor set. And this is perfect because I already got a little farmer head in here. Oh, Farmer Steve. We will codify Farmer Steve. It's an actual armor set. He's like Luffy Steve. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is figure out the color of the armor that we're going to make. So leather armor as its base set seems like it would be fine. Having a orange, yellow, and brown variant of some kind based on the crops farm. And you know what? I'll throw in beetroot as well. I'll give myself an extra little challenge here, which allows us to have a red dye. So, matching everything with its color. So we're going to need 4 different phases based off of the crop which is last broken. Alright, so I've got a generator website open which allows me to create armor with a trim on it. I'm going to be super quick going from this back to Minecraft. And this will have no name associated with it. So if I spawn in this armor piece and wear it, this is an example of what carrot could look like. And carrot boots. I'm a bit partial to more of these trims compared to a lot of their other counterparts here. I like this trim for the boots. Alright. So this becomes our copper armor set while we are farming. We can take the data of all of these, and I'm going to put it into a command block, at least a temporary set of them down here. Red, orange, yellow, and brown. Red, orange, yellow, brown. I'm going to take this, red, orange, yellow, brown. You know what? Instead of having these down here, let's make our own little cosmetic platform for them. Alright, it's got a nice little pattern to it. And then when we want red, orange, yellow, brown, we can hit a button on this column to get our armor pieces. So, remembering what we had before, a custom armor piece can exist if we just give it a tag, such as Warden Suit. This one I'm going to call Farmer Suit 1B. And there's leggings, and there's the boots. If we just copy that small little tag into our give commands, we can now give ourselves armor with the proper tags. Garrett armor. Now, if we just do the same thing, but with different trim and color, we'll need to do a little bit of workshopping here, but I'm sure that we can make it work. This will be our color, and the material is going to be redstone. So what becomes our material for potato if we have a brown armor set? We could have copper again. Or we could go for something else. You know what, I'm just going to be out there and say potato is going to be iron. It'll give a nice earthy look to the armor. So our color is going to be this, and our material is going to be iron. And finally we have yellow, which will obviously have gold as our trim. this color, and we'll have a material of gold. Alright, so if we just copy paste the armor pieces, and then we need to modify with the color. Color, redstone, color, redstone, and here's our beetroot armor. Has a nice little blood red tinge to it. The way that it goes around the trim, I think, is very nice. I do like it. And then over here, same thing. Get our new color. This to gold. New color. Gold. Here's the wheat armor set equivalent there. And finally, potato, which will be a little interesting because we will have different trim color to armor color. And if it doesn't end up looking good, I can always just swap it over, keep it as copper. And here's potato. Honestly, it's not this disorienting because if we're looking at the crops that exist in this game, aside from, I guess, flowers, there's nothing that really follows the same palette. So, I kind of like it. Now, how is it that we're going to track blocks broken? Well, that's a good question. Scoreboard is a thing which we can leverage to have not just numbers that count up like the Warden timer, but we can also have stuff like scoreboard objectives. Add potato break, and then this will be Minecraft dot broken Minecraft dot potato. Scoreboard objective, set display sidebar, potato break. Now if I put in some farmland, some potatoes on top of that farmland, and a bone meal, potato, potato, fully grown potato, no potato, no potato, game mode, survival, no potato, no potato. So what that tells me is that scoreboard objectives remove potato break. What this is telling me is that it's trying to detect like if you have a pickaxe, a wooden pickaxe, and you broke it, like the tool would break. And obviously you can't break a potato. So this will be mined. Minecraft potatoes. And if we set the sidebar to potato break, now, nope, nope, go to survival, potato break, potato break. So it'll only trigger in survival, which crops you have most recently broken. Oh boy, how fun. So now we need to do wheat is gonna be a wheat break. Carrots is gonna be carrot break. And beetroots is gonna be beet break. So now we have scoreboard objectives which pertain to breaking any of these crops. Now what we gotta do is bam bam bam, if someone is detected as breaking a potato, we just need to replace all of their armor like we already have. So, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Execute as at A. Scores equal, and then in here, potato break equals 1 or higher. Then we are going to do run replace, or run item replace entity at S armor chest with armor leggings with armor boots or feet with, and then scoreboard players set at S potato break to 0. following this trend down here, we also need to make sure we stop the leather equip sound. So this is chestplate. Leather leggings. Leather boots. Now if we crack this on, what it should do is instantly equip us with the armor. Heck yeah. Now, a command that I haven't really gotten to show off just yet is this. Clone. Over onto here. It's a fancy little thing that just allows you to copy paste. And we're gonna need to do that. For quite a bit. In fact, just remove this. Oh, that is so easy to fix up. I love it. So this next one, let's make it the wheat. Replace the armor. And we call it wheat break. Nice. Grab the leggings. And finally the boots. Set wheat break to 0 if wheat break is greater than 1. And there we go. Carrots. Sadly, there is not a find and replace. This is one of the benefits of writing your program in a data pack, is because you can use stuff like Notepad and do find and replace or little shortcuts here. I'm doing simple and repetitive labor. I have become a corporate drone making farm armor. And then call it carrot break. And then we also need to reset if carrot break. And that leaves but one more to go. Beat break. I have a feeling I grabbed the wrong armor piece, so let's just Speed break. Speed break. Speed break. Now if I hop down here and I plant the various crops, potato, beetroot seeds, wheat seeds, carrot, potato, beet, wheat, carrot, and I just randomly spam seeds. Who knows what they'll be. So now, if I am having farm armor, oh boy, I realized one of the downsides of this. Before we do that final test, I need to validate, did we even have the farm armor on to begin with? Game mode, survival. Because it's very possible someone just breaks a potato and it helps to power your command blocks when you try and activate them. Someone just gets potato armor for breaking a random potato, or carrot armor for breaking a random carrot. And the silly thing about that is, even if you don't have the armor on, you're gonna get it anyways. So, let's fix that. We need to, in our selector here, have a second piece, which is checking if kind of like over here. If they all have farm suit on. And you know what, for this, I'll modify what we had before. We can remove this first head slot item. And then we're just checking for a chest plate, which is the farmer suit. Farmer suit. Sure, does it match? Farmer suit 1B, and if I'm wearing a full farmer suit, it works. If I take off my farmer suit, yep, it fails. So if I take this selector now, and I say, oh goodness, again, a good time where it would come in handy. I actually don't want the full selector, I just want this bit. If I do a comma up, nice. Comma there. By default have people have their stuff reset, that's fine, and that's fine. Okay. Carrot break, carrot break. Alright. Final test. If I don't have the full armor set on, when I break potatoes, doesn't matter. If I do have the full armor set on, it switches. So now, if I hop down here, and I go along the line, lovely. That was a rather quick one to do. I'm quite happy with how quick that one turned out. Game mode, creative. It was a little bit repetitive programming. But there we go. Unripened potato. Alright, we are nearing the end of my existence. I am going to have to leave the stream soon. I do want to accomplish one more thing before I go. This here is a Santa armor set. Now, the winter festivities are about a month too late, but I feel like it's never too late to celebrate. Now, a lot of servers have the ability for you to get snow trails. Like if you walk on the ground, snow will follow behind you. But it's not like you're going to be a snowman and your snow is permanent. Eventually your snow is going to fade away. And another thing to consider, if I'm like levitating in the air, I don't want set block relative to me snow. I don't want like a floating snow layer. That's no fun. So how do we best take care of this? Well, simple. If I set up an armor stand or some equivalent marker which will exist on top of the snow layer, we can, after some amount of time of its existence, delete it. And when we delete it, we can take the snow layer with it. So what we're going to be doing is summoning a delayed line of armor stands, which will then also get killed. This is a very tricky situation, because if you try to summon an armor stand, for example, and you do that a couple thousand times, the game tends to not like that. So one of the controls that you can do is back up your world. Make sure that your world has backup saves. And before I started all of this, I definitely had a save. And I've got a live stream that I can follow back if I need to figure out what all the commands are. Like, all of these commands, they exist. And they're pretty simple. It's just a matter of figuring them out, and in this case, copy-pasting it a couple of times. So I'm not terribly afraid of losing this world if I do something stupid. The second thing that you can do, though, in order to make sure that you aren't really dumb, is score execute as @E, type equals armor stand, run scoreboard players add armor stand count 1. We need an objective here. So I'm going to create a new one. Scoreboard objective add snow. This will be another dummy. And we're going to say snow. 1. Scoreboard objective set display sidebar snow. So if there is one armor stand, we will set that to this. If there is a bunch of armor stands, and if, keeping in mind we have to do scoreboard players set armor stand count to 0 for snow. Now, if we run the same command, it'll set to 4. So what are we going to do with this? Well, we're going to run another risk command, the /kill at E. Type equals armor stand D of 0 to 100, and then now what'll happen, I know that I don't have any other armor stands right here, so I know that it's safe to kill them all. Let's go grab a chain. We're going to do this command. Run this command second and this command first. Now it appears that there. So now what's going to happen is it's going to count and then kill. Whenever if I change this to impulse, whenever I pull this, and then it will. Obviously, I need to manually reset it. Snow 0. So now if I have a ton of armor stands, this will tell me how many I had, and then it'll kill them. But, you know, you want to keep the armor stands around. This is a worst case scenario thing. So what we're doing is we're plopping this up above, resetting it, and then execute if score of armor stand count snow is greater than 40. Then we're going to run matches 40 or higher. Then we're going to run kill all armor stands. And let's make it 4. Just for testing purposes. So then we repeat. Bam. We got 1 armor stand. 2 armor stands. 3 armor stands. No armor stands. So we can set an arbitrary limit here on how many armor stands we want to exist in the world before we have a meltdown and say it needs to stop. So I'm going to set this number right now because I know my computer can handle quite a bit. I'm going to set this number to 200. So if I spam a ton of armor stands, it's not going to completely explode my computer, but we will definitely notice a performance hit. And if we ever need to at any time, we can just check using this command if we disable this and just do bam. There's one armor stand. And then, oh, how many armor stands are there? There are 6 armor stands. So that's one of the things that we can do to take care of the world in the worst case scenario. The next thing that I would like to do is set up another platform, another one in the sky, and for the sake of time and brevity, I'm not going to do the commands that we've already seen on live stream this time, which is setting up the armor tags and checking to see if you're wearing the armor. We've done that in 2 different ways now, checking just the armor or checking with the player head. I'll make this a nice cherry wood platform. Does it relate to the holidays in any way? No. Does it look nice? Hell yeah, it does. Alright. So now, up on this platform, just presuming that you always have snow on if you have tag @s add Santa. So now, if we just do say @a tag equals Santa, it recognizes that I have the tag. That's how you detect for player tags. It's just like a verbal boolean of sorts that can be added and removed. So if we are Santa, then execute as @s anchored to feet run summon armor stand. Okay, so you'll notice that we got armor stands that are spawning right where we're standing with this command. If we then further add a line XYZ, you'll notice that we get armor stands which snap towards the middle of the block, see? And now if we stand right here and summon one, it'll kind of go into this corner here. But it's still technically on this block that we're standing on. It is just anchored into the bottom corner. If we hit F3, you can see this whole crosshair thing. That indicates like which corner it would be going into. So what we're going to do is, this is positive, positive. Just cause it to be offset by half a block. And then visually, what we're going to get now is an armor stand which will snap right into the middle of any block that we need it to when we sum it up. So now, execute as @a tag equals Santa. We're going to summon an armor stand anchored on us. And then, aha! I found an issue. We have it set as, but then we need to do @s. And now, we have a good number of armor stands spawning in. And our little clear leg helped us towards the end there kill all the armor stands. Because we had a few too many. So, one of the things that we saw there was that the armor stands were falling. And that's not good, because if I'm trying to, like, I don't know, do some parkour with the Santa outfit on, what we would want is for the snow here and the snow here when I land. We don't want the armor stands to cross over this gap and to fall. There are ways of doing this through like a downwards raycast of sorts, where the snow on the ground will populate as we jump over. But for the scope of this, we just want it to be where we are standing. So we can fix this by saying as at s if block relative -1 relative is not air, oh, can we not have unless? That's how we do nots. Unless the block below us is air, then we are going to run this. So now, I'm going to plop this in. And now, if I'm hovering in the middle of the air, nothing. But if I'm on a block, oh, still nothing. Hello? Summon an armor stand. Don't summon an armor stand. Summon an armor stand. As at execute as at a tag equals Santa. That was a problem. That should fix it. So now when we stand on a block, we summon. And when we're off a block, we don't summon. So if I like hop down here, we'll get a bunch of armor stands going. But you'll notice when we jump, we don't put sand on the ground or snow on the ground. If these armor stands were to be snow, which is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. And there's Clear Leg doing its thing, protecting the universe. We love to see it. So if I take this down. So another thing that we're going to see here is if I stand still, I will get 200 armor stands in the same spot. A more complex implementation of this could also check if there's an entity of an armor stand on the block where I'm already standing, and then refuse to summon if that is the case. I will be simplifying the scope of this assignment. What we're going to be doing is allowing for those armor stands to exist, but we'll be killing them within a quick enough time that it shouldn't matter. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to prevent the gravity and give them a custom tag. So if I go to MC Stacker, and I know that this isn't an environment that I have set up, but I'll verbally describe it. I can change the no gravity, silent, invulnerable, and there's also a marker tag that I'm going to want as well. Where is that? Did they remove the marker tag? Oh no. You can't have marker tag. Marker. Huh. Oh, wait. Armor stand. Oh, I fixed it. It still exists. I was looking at the allay. Armor stand is invisible and is a marker and has no gravity. Copy. You know what? For sake of allowing the process to be seen on stream, we'll make it visible for now. So this is the NBT data that we have from the generator, and now the armor stand, when it is summoned, summon armor stand with this. It is invulnerable. I cannot kill it, even in creative mode. It is something where I could place blocks through it, like it isn't even there. Hypixel fails to do this with a lot of their armor stands. It might not be a 1.8 feature, but it sure as heck should be something they implement in the later versions. Like, pets will get in your way, or because it's armor stand visuals, client side, the client thinks that it can't place a block there, which is annoying. So now we have armor stands, which are going to exist and be summoned. And we can take this one step further and give it a tag. Or a custom name. I'm going to choose to do a tag, and I'm going to call it a snow stand. So if I get rid of this, tag snow stand. And now we do scoreboard players add @e tag equals snow stand snow 1. And if we summon one of these and we then add snow stand to them, you'll see in the sidebar we get their UUID, unique ID of the thing. And if we keep adding to it, maybe we summon another one, they will have separate times as they count upwards. And now, if I run a /kill @e, name or tag equals snow stand, comma type equals armor stand, comma scores equal snow, or snow equals, let's keep it around for 1 second at the start. And then we will do execute as this at itself, run set block relative air replace snow. Oh, so here's the little quirk. The fill command allows you to set specific blocks that you're going to replace, but set block doesn't have that same functionality. But if we just do fill itself twice with an air, we can replace a specific block. And we could even specify like how many layers we want to set it to. A more complicated implementation of this is maybe the snow will slowly melt downwards, and maybe you have like 3 layers of snow that spawn below the player. I'm just going to do a single snow layer. And then, fantastic. Wind dead, replace snow. And then finally, one further one up here, which will be /execute as at E type equal armor stand. Gamma. Dag equal snow stand. Gamma scores equal snow anywhere within the range of 0 to 5 when it first spawns. We're going to fill itself, replace with snow, replace air. And then one further redundancy check, even though we are only spawning armor stands on the ground, we can also say at s if block relative, or unless block below it is air. Alright, and you can see these two aren't spawning snow because they don't have a low enough tick. But if I spawn a new snow stand and I give it a score, and then I do this, you can see this will come up with snow, these two will not, and eventually when they reach a lifespan of 20, they will die. So, supposedly if we just copy this command in, it should work, and we should watch them all die. And bop, 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 bop. Yeah. Yep. We are getting everything that we want except for one slight bug. And that is if a snow layer gets placed on top of another snow layer, it has issues. So we can change our redundancy here to unless block below is snow. And now we shouldn't get stacked up snow layers. We might get a second armor stand up there, but he's not going to spawn snow layers for us. Perfect. And as mentioned before, if we jump, so one interesting thing here, if you leave the block after standing on it for a while, the snow is going to instantly melt, even if there's other armor stands there. And that's because when an armor stand is about to die, if there's multiple stacked on top of each other, it will instantly kill the block behind it. For efficiency's sake, for like spawning less entities into the world, you really would want to have it not spawn a second armor stand if there's one already aligned to the block. And that's definitely an improvement that you could make on your own time. But for now, I have created 3 different armor sets. I'm going to set this to be invisible 1B, so there are no longer any armor stands in my face. And if I do scoreboard objective set display sidebar, so I no longer see the infinite wave of armor stands. There we go. And because that armor stand there hasn't gone away yet, we're obviously not hitting the cap, even with this atrocious implementation. I think that calls it there, though. We have finished the stream. It has been 3 hours of fun. Hopefully the people looking back on this enjoy their time listening to my random mumbles and rambles as I try to figure things out. Thank you to Rui for joining us throughout the entire duration of the live portion of this stream, and I will try to come up with avenues of letting people know sooner if they want to attend these live in the future. I intend on doing at least another one this year. I don't want to make any commitments higher than that. With that, though, thank you for attending the stream. Thank you for watching the VOD if you've been watching it. I have been a rambling kaboom as I make many of command things, and I hope to make more in the future for you. Goodbye.